course, UAE. For the last maybe 15 years, I've been doing those kind of exhibitions and lectures, enjoying the presence of people. It's really very amusing to interact with people and to add value and receive as well a lot of values. It was really exciting workshops and collaborations with multiple international and national entities. I'm really grateful to God about this history, and it's passing by very quickly. When I look at my phone, it's giving me now some memories from 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and I'm really surprised that time is passing very quickly. I've made quite some publications in magazines and newspaper, but mostly, if you ask me what is the most thing sincere to your heart, I can tell you it's mostly about exhibitions and publications, not about awards. Despite that awards are very shiny, but publications, you feel that you put your own, or exhibitions, you put your own signature in it. You feel more you belong to that. It's your own work evolving in front of you. So publications is really very exciting. Those are some of the entities that I have dealt with throughout my career, and most of those entities are dealing directly or indirectly with photography and astronomy. So let me now share with you why exactly I feel astrophotography is something that we should all seek. This is a simple project that I worked on, which is called The Pursuit of Peace. Leave you for a minute with it. A lot of effort into it, and it's really rewarding. For me, a small video like that, maybe it's much more rewarding than many other awards that I will be working on or collaborating with. That will translate the message. This is exactly what I'm trying to do, and this is exactly what every single one of you is trying to do with his hobby. He's trying to take a message and try to deliver that message to other people. Either other people cannot witness this themselves, so they will feel grateful that you are sharing with them something that they cannot easily see, or you're doing it for your own sake. And in order to do that, you need equipment. And practically speaking, now we are living in the golden age of photography. Smaller cameras are in the market, bigger sensors, mirrorless cameras. We've seen the evolution of cameras since the film camera. And if you look and research about the origins of astrophotography, you will find some strange results that was happening like 100 years ago, and now we can easily get it very fast. Those are some of the cameras that I used or currently in the market. And obviously I'm talking about Nikon because I am using Nikon systems since I started photography. Now, the other aspect of astrophotography is usually done with those kind of complicated instruments and equipment. And as I told you in the beginning, before the bus arrives, I always like simplicity. So those kind of things, when I went from nightscapes and landscapes astrophotography, and I want to jump into deep sky astrophotography, a lot of my friends advised me that you need to get a proper equipment and proper telescopes and CCD cameras and a lot of wires and computers, and you have to get all of that chunk of wires and all of that cables and connections, and you start building and setting up your setup. So I got very dizzy about it, and I decided that I will do whatever it takes to try to get to the simplicity. And simplicity here, it means that you will require the least equipment, the least heavier equipment, and whatever will do the job, and try to compensate that, as we discussed also, with some extra miles of maybe post-processing or extra miles of knowledge about specific techniques that will make some shortcuts. So you will end up in the end having this perfect formula that you can do something really nice out of a very simple setup. And all the deep sky astrophotography photos that I've taken is with a simple full frame camera and a simple mount, very light mount, and some filters maybe, and regular photography lenses. So planning. Planning is very important, and as we said also, and giving example about the bus, I will keep on talking about that today a lot, because planning is very important. If you want to shoot, or you want to even camp, you have to plan yourself properly, or you will lose, the fun, or you will concentrate on just trying to catch up with what you have missed. But for astrophotography, it requires a lot of planning. And there are different aspects of elements that we need to plan ahead of our session or ahead of our trip. Like for example, today I kept on looking for one full week, waiting for any surprise to show up in the weather forecast. Because things can happen. We can go today, hopefully not inshallah, but we can go today and we can see some kind of humidity that will block all the stars. So these things happen, but you have to at least do whatever you can to try to come up with the perfect conditions. There are lots of applications, and I will not just tell you specific examples, but if you just searched in the App Store for Android or Apple or whatever the operating system you're utilizing, or on the internet, you will find a lot of applications that will give you very good real-life data about weather and about light pollution, for example, which is a very important aspect. This is UAE from satellite images. As you can see, there are different representations of the light pollution. This is a simple demonstration of what light pollution can do to your photography. That's why we cannot shoot stars from inside the cities, and we need to go far away. And today, despite that, this location is getting more and more light polluted, but still it is one of the best locations in United Arab Emirates, in the middle of the desert, specifically at that spot. This is where we'll be going today, and I am going there since almost 11 years now. It's my second home, or my third home. My second home is among the mountains, very close to Fujairah and Dubai. So those are some of the sample applications and softwares. Very familiar, everybody I think knows about it. PhotoPills is one of the best in planning your shoots. For example, I want to shoot Burj Khalifa with the sunrise, and I want to make sure that it will perfectly align with the sunrise. Or I want to shoot the moonrise with Burj Khalifa, or whatever. You can see all of those photos on social media. Those are all done with proper planning. It's not just a chance that people happen at the right place at the right time to shoot Burj Khalifa. Sometimes it happens, and those kind of chances are really good, but in order for you to get a winning shot, or a winning session, or a very good productive astrophotography session, you need to plan it, and you need to utilize those technologies. And those are a lot of applications that I personally use. Equipment, we talked about the equipment, and we've been talking about it in the WhatsApp group. The tripod is very important because we are using long exposure. Tripod is a must. Despite the fact that nowadays the cameras are getting more and more advanced, but still you want to get the perfect shot. So tripod is very important. And sometimes you pay a lot of money in a camera and the lens, and you don't invest in a proper tripod, and this is a big mistake. Because you don't want to end up having a shaky image just because you chose a bad tripod. So tripod is a very important aspect. I use a very short one, very small one. It doesn't have to be very complicated, but in the end it should be sturdy and enough to take your load and be fixed properly on whatever surface you are shooting from. Lenses. There are multiple types of astrophotography, and I believe we will talk about it after a while. What are the different types of astrophotography and what are the different lenses that we should use. But generally speaking, today we will be shooting landscape at night or nightscape astrophotography, which will utilize wide-angle lenses. We will try to shoot the planetary alignment today, and we will try to also to shoot Orion constellation. It's magnificent. You can never get bored of it. It's really nice. There are a couple of trees there in that location. It was before 3 trees, but some guy decided to break one of the trees. I don't know why. And I don't know now how many trees are left there, but hopefully they are still there. So shooting. Now, this is very important example, and I want you to focus on that aspect specifically. Think for a minute. Always think for a minute. Don't just rush everything. Whenever you see a good composition, don't rush it. Just try to think for a minute. And I will share with you some regular shots taken on day shots, you know. So let's look at that, for example, car. A toy car. I was sitting at that place having some coffee, and some group of people came, and they have this hobby of modeling and car, and he kept on shooting the car with the environment all around it. And it looks like a toy, right? It looks like a toy. If you just change the angle a little bit, and you go down with the angle, it looks totally different. The same car, the same camera, the same spot, the same time slot, everything. The only thing that I did, I thought for a minute. And this is the message I gave to the guy who was shooting it. He's trying to shoot this model that he built himself, you know, and he's very proud about it. So he wants to feel that it is a real piece of art, you know. I showed him this, and he was amazed, and he was really very happy at that day. So shooting, for example, those kind of miniatures, you are required to go in low angle as much as possible. And I love low angle, because when you get closer to the ground, you feel that you are getting closer to your nature. And when you shoot, even in landscapes, when you get closer to the ground, and today we will try this technique by focusing on the ground and then focusing on the sky. And then blending that very easily into one image, so you will get a very dramatic image, rather than just shoot on your own level the same topics that you are shooting. And today we will have some trees. So as you can see, this is the difference between the two shots. It's only a matter of a small angle change. Another example about composition. I'm focusing on that aspect because this is very important. And this is, I spent years trying to learn about composition. I'm trying to get it very short, to give it to you in a small pill, you know. Composition is a very important thing. This small tree, beside this lonely mountain in the middle of the desert, and there is a lot of stories about that particular mountain, maybe we'll be talking about it later. And this small tree, a very small tree, it's actually like half a meter. So I was shooting there, and then I did the same trick. I went closer to the ground, even to the extent that I pulled my camera out of the tripod, and just I fixed it upon a stone to try to get the full tree into the horizon. So see the two things that I've done here. First of all, I felt the tree is not felt. You cannot feel the tree, right? And even if you go down, you have to give it space all around it, so you can feel that kind of object. And my message there, the feelings that I got when I reached that place, that I am in a very unique place, a lonely place, and this lonely tree is very strange in that particular desert. One single tree out of nowhere. So by doing that angle change, I felt that the message is delivered more deeply and profoundly. So those are the difference between the two images. Look at that example. Now everybody wants to shoot anything with the Milky Way galactic core. And for me, that angle was showing both the tree and the galactic core. However, the tree was very dramatic. So I said to myself, let's sacrifice the galactic core and let's focus on the tree. And you can see the difference. It's the same tree. And that's why sometimes you are with a group of photographers and you see one of them, he got a very good shot. And you just try to wonder what happened. I was standing beside him and he got a much better photo. And this is because of the composition. So just try to think. Don't think too much also. Don't overdo it. Just there is a perfect formula, you know, the sweet spot that you will start developing your analytical or compositions. This is a place that we will go today, and I'm giving you an example about it. I think this tree is broken, sadly, but maybe one of them are still there. So you can see now the galactic core is rising. We will not see the galactic core today, that if somebody is very excited about it. We will see the other side of the Milky Way, which is a very exciting side as well, which is Orion side. However, the galactic core, I think maybe in a couple of weeks it will start to show just before dawn. So at that moment, I think it was in March, and I was waiting for the Milky Way to rise, and it was rising between those trees, and I felt this is the perfect spot, you know, the two trees, and the Milky Way is rising. However, if you change your angle a little bit, you can feel the difference, right? So I'm giving you some ideas. Try to move all around. And let's also be careful about, we have a lot of people. We need to make sure that we are all running in circles, not stepping on each other, you know, because we want to give the chance for everybody to try to shoot the subjects as much as possible. So this is an example of how we can improve your composition. Another example, this is in Egypt, in a place, it's called White Desert. And you can see when you get closer to the ground, you can feel the difference. The ground is the real deal. So although I'm shooting the sky, but the earth is talking a lot of, you know, stories coming from that earth. So mixing both of them together is really exciting. So improving your composition is a must. The requirements and considerations for today or any time you want to shoot, make sure that you have extra batteries, you have enough batteries. Now, most of the cameras are directly connected to the power bank, so if you have a power bank, it's enough for you to deal with it. Make sure that you have a comfy, some kind of position, because it can cost you a lot. It costed me a lot of things. I have a desk only because of standing all night, because of this hobby, but I don't regret it. So comfortable chair is very important. Water and snacks, because you might spend hours in that trip, so you need to have a quick snacks that will give you energy so you can just sustain. And of course, coffee and chocolate will be the perfect combination. And red flashlights, binoculars. I believe I got today a galactic binocular. Maybe we can share it. It's the first time for me to try it today. I got it from AliExpress. I don't know if it will work or not. Let's see. But usually a galactic binocular, it's a wide angle binocular. You will feel that it's useless, but it's not. It will just give you a specific focus. Or you feel like you have dived into the space. So binocular is a very nice thing that you can buy, and you can just try to observe the night skies with it. It's really nice. Precautions, proper clothing. It happened to be that yesterday is the first day of the hardest winter times in UAE. Compared to any place in the world, maybe it's not very harsh, and other people might be laughing that we are saying it's too cold, and it was too hot in the morning, but in the desert it's really cold. It's really cold. So I don't know what will be the situation today, but just try to be as much as possible on the safe side. Crocs, I always tell people don't wear slippers, although I do it, but I'm more familiar with it, so it's just because you don't want to lose your focus or you don't want to end up having an insect inside your slipper. First aid kit, it's not a must, but any car now is having it. A bug spray, if you are going to spend nights there. UV light is very, very nice, because UV light will always show you things that you cannot see with your naked eye, especially at night. And the proper clothing that we talked about. Now, regarding the red light, let me tell you a small, interesting information about why the red light is really special for us photographers. Our human eye, as you can see, there is a retina, which is equivalent to sensors in cameras. This retina is having also some kind of pixels or photons or whatever you call it. There are cells. And those cells, there are majorly two types of cells, as you can see. There are RGB cells and monochrome cells. And it happened to be that most of the retina is full of the monochrome ones. And subhanAllah, this is a very interesting thing because at night you can almost see black and white. If you realize it, you don't see a lot of colors. That's why, because those kind of rod cells are activated to work better at night. So low light is always somehow connected to black and white. That's why some cameras, very excellent cameras in astrophotography, it's practically black and white. It's more sensitive to lights. That's why at night you start feeling that there is no color. So what happens with the red light? The red light does not disturb your cells. So when you are staying in the desert shooting, without any kind of distraction, without your mobile phone or somebody opening a flashlight in your face, your cells will start to accumulate the time as if you are opening an exposure, and you will start to see things clearer and clearer. So that will take like few minutes. So red light will not disturb that process. However, bright light will restart you from the beginning, and you will lose focus and you will lose the vision. So that's why red light and minimizing the usage of light is a very important thing to consider while shooting astrophotography. Another thing that I want you to focus on it now, because we will waste a lot of time on it in the desert. Before that, we'll talk about timing. Timing is very important to go on the right spot and right time. Today we have chosen to be there before the sunrise. And this is very important because when you step into the location while it's still lit, you will feel more, adaptive to it, and you will start to get familiar with the place. So when it gets dark, you will not feel that kind of, strange feeling. You will feel more welcome to that location. Now, the point that I want to talk about is focus. Maybe a lot of you photographers, they know about that. In astrophotography, we switch everything off auto. Nothing is, no autofocus, nothing is but manual mode and manual focus. So in order for you to focus on the star, you have to just point at any planet or bright star. And today there's a lot of planets. We will try to do it one time together. You will put your tripod, you will put your camera, you will switch off your autos, and then you will point at any of those stars. You fix your tripod on it, and then zoom with your display. And when you have this star in the middle, try to calibrate the focus. You will find that the focus is having an impact on the image, and you will find the defocus is a big, and when it's getting smaller and smaller, it means that it's getting more and more into focus until it's the smallest. The smallest spot is the focus point, which usually is the infinity on any lens. However, it's not very precise, so you have to do it manually like that. Other people like to make an autofocus on one of the stars and then switch the autofocus off. But anyway, this focusing is something that you have to do every while and then. You don't do it one time, because maybe you are moving your camera and you will end up losing your focus, and after you go home, you will find yourself all your photos are out of focus except for the first few ones. So it's very important to realize how those things work, so we can save a lot of time. We will not be doing all of that setup. I'm just giving you a hint. And this is a simple setup, setting up and tracking. This is mostly today, inshallah, we will be seeing Orion in the night sky, and that's like a time lapse of a full night shooting, and you can see the red light going off and on, and the Earth is rotating, giving that perception of movement. one aspect very important, do respect nature, please. Do not leave any kind of garbage. Do respect that you will find some species in that areas. Maybe we are now in the winter, so most of the dangerous species are hibernating in the winter, especially spiders. And the infrared and the ultra UV light is the one that will expose for you those kind of things. As you can see now, that was a live video I took of a scorpion with the UV light on. But that was in the middle of the summer, as I told you. Inshallah, nothing there, but we should not be very frightened about it because, you know, UAE, they have been living, the Bedouins, among the sands for centuries, and they were never worried about such things. They are just living because they respect those kind of beings. As long as you respect it, it will never get close to you. Usually, in UAE, I just have to show you that, but inshallah nothing will happen. You only have to be very careful when you move. You don't want to step on a stone and flip. Just try to be responsible and relax as well. Don't feel that you are under a lot of stress. It's actually liberating to be among the nature. And that's why some people, they even go trips into some places are very dangerous to enjoy that kind of thing. So this is like a sunset image, and I'm showing you that for a specific thing that you will know after a while. Those are the nocturnal species that I'm talking about. That fellow was in one of the water dams in Ras Al Khaimah. And there is a story about this water dam. I went with my friends, and maybe I heard the story a lot before. And we went there in the middle of the summer because there was some green areas in that place. And when we jumped in and we went and we put the setup and everything, we found a snake. So we said to ourselves, it's better to just respect the place and respect ourselves and go back home. Then I said to myself, guys, look, let me just shoot one shot only, and then we can go. Then I took the shot and I was amazed of the result, you know. So I told him, let's take 10 more minutes. And I kept on dragging until we spent the whole night. And every one of those guys, they just forgot about the snake. And it was a magnificent night. It was something like that, a magnificent place, a really nice place. And there is another story with that place as well. Literally, this is what I saw one time. I parked my car and I was just trying to explore the place. And literally I saw a lot of eyes, you know, looking back at me. So I said, what is that? You know, and later on I came to know that those are small foxes, very friendly foxes. And they were there in that area, and a lot of them, you know. And once just I shed the light on it, I saw those eyes looking back at me, and then they cleared the area for me to start shooting. So it was. Where was that? That was in Shawka Mountains, with Hajar Mountains in the western part of UAE. And this is a fox, a small one. So it's you know, I spend a lot of nights and I see a lot of strange things that I cannot even name it. Like this kind of thing that was crawling below my feet. Why I'm talking about those? Like for example, wild donkeys. Those are wild, clean donkeys. They are very good climbers and they are very peaceful. And they really, you feel among those kind of species, you feel like you are very close to your home. And this is the message of the next video about home. What is home? single shot that you will come back with will let you live for months, you know. It's that kind of dopamine and serotonin, and you will feel like you are very happy about it. This is home, and inshallah today we will have a lot of exciting things awaiting us. So let's hope for a clear night. Yeah? All right, that's it.